Welcome. Thank you for joining us this morning. I'm Terry Minow, Chair of the Board of Directors of Big Sky 55 Plus. My family and I ranch in the Boulder Valley about 40 miles from Helena. We invited you to this briefing today because Montanans have a deep stake in the viability and future of Social Security. In fact, in 1923, the Montana Old Age Pension Act passed, 12 years before Social Security was enacted. Alex Lawson heads a national coalition that champions this vital and essential economic program. In 2024, we stand on the brink of some dangerous policies that would undercut the most popular and successful poverty prevention program in our nation's history. Montanans will have clear choices on our ballot this year when it comes to Social Security and health care. First, a brief note about us. Big Sky 55 Plus was formed in 2018 to organize Montanans 55 and older to work for solutions that advance the common good, like Social Security and affordable health care. Big Sky 55 Plus helps seniors build a strong voice in our communities. We provide Montanans with timely, useful, and trustworthy information. And Big Sky 55 Plus works to educate and elect policymakers who share our values and are champions on our priority issues. Alex Lawson is one of the nation's most knowledgeable voices in support of this vital lifeline to Montanans and Americans of all ages. We are fortunate to have him visiting 9 Montana communities this week. We started the tour in Glendive and Miles City, went on to Red Lodge and Billings, and met in Lewistown and Great Falls yesterday. Today we meet here in Helena and then go on to Missoula. And tomorrow we finish up in Butte. Social Security Works, the organization that Alex directs, is made up of over 340 organizations that all share a deep commitment to upholding our existing Social Security system and to improving and strengthening it. The founder of Social Security Works, Nancy Altman, co-wrote several excellent books on Social Security. Social Security Works counters misinformation about the system and its structure. Social Security Works informs people about how vital Social Security is to all Americans and how we can defend it and secure it moving forward. Welcome, Alex, and thank you for sharing your knowledge and expertise with us across the state of Montana. We're very grateful.
Thank you so much, Terry, and just a huge thanks to Big Sky 55 Plus. It's been really the honor, my honor, to get to travel across this state, meeting so many amazing people. We started in Glendive. We've done 7 stops along the way. We're in Helena now, and we're going to end in Butte tomorrow. It's a little tiring because your state is enormous. I'm sure you know that. But luckily, meeting with the people along the way is so energizing, and it's such a pleasure to be able to deliver the truth about Social Security, which is what this tour is about. I want to just say some of my impressions of Montana and then sort of mirror them to Social Security, because what's really clear about Montana is how much the people value community and hard work, that Montanans are going to be there for each other. And that's exactly what Social Security is. Nobody gives us our Social Security. Nobody hands us anything. We earn our Social Security. Every hard-working Montanan pays into Social Security, and then it's there for them when they need it. If they retire, if they face a life-changing event and become disabled and can no longer work, for the surviving children in the death of a breadwinner. This is a system that embodies the best of American and Montanan values. It doesn't surprise me that Montana set up a Social Security system state-based a decade before Social Security was created for the rest of the country, because it really is a system that represents Montanan values. And the biggest one is keeping one's promise. That's what Social Security is. You work hard, you play by the rules, and it's there for you. But there is a concerted campaign to break that promise. And I can't think of a more un-American, deeply un-Montanan thing than breaking that promise. The average Social Security benefit for the entire country is $1,800. And that's money that people have earned. They've earned that money. And for millions of Americans and thousands of Montanans, it is the only source of income that they have to try to live on. Too many Americans, too many Montanans are making a choice, cutting their pills in half in order to pay their rent, in order to pay their bills. That is the problem. Benefits are too low. We can fix that problem. But the billionaires, and I will say, the politicians who work for those billionaires are trying to confuse people and say, that's not the problem. The problem is that Social Security is going bankrupt. And everywhere I've gone, I've asked the same question. How many of you have heard that Social Security is going bankrupt? And all the hands in the room go up. How many of you have heard that it's going away? The hands stay up. That is a lie. That is a lie. That is absolute misinformation to take people's eyes off of the problem, which is that for millions of Americans, their Social Security benefits are not going to cover the costs that they face. But if you think that Social Security is going away, if you think that you're going to get nothing, you might accept less than you're owed. And that's what the lie is all about. That's what I've been traveling the state telling people, why they continually hear this false information. It's done on purpose to distract from the real problem, which is that benefits are too low, and make it seem like Social Security is unaffordable. And I don't want to get too much into the weedy details here, but I do want to explain something that's important. And this is an eye-opening one that I've seen people, oh, now I get it. You don't pay in to Social Security on 100% of your income. There is a maximum cap that you pay into, and currently it's $165,000. So the vast majority of Americans pay into Social Security on all of their income every day of the year. But for the billionaires and the ultra wealthy, someone like Jeff Bezos, that person, he stops paying in on January 1st, 4 minutes into the day. He doesn't pay a nickel into Social Security for the rest of the year. And the problem is, for the past 30 to 40 years, all of the gains in income and wealth have gone to the very rich. Since the 80s, as worker productivity has continued to rise year after year, wages have been flat. The working people are not seeing the benefit of their labor. The billionaires are taking all of it. And for Social Security, what that means is that that money is not going into the system and has created a crisis. But Social Security is not the problem. Social Security works. The billionaires are the problem. They're not paying the same rate as the rest of us into Social Security. Because of that cap, the more money you make, the less of a percentage you pay into Social Security. That's the problem. That's why there's a campaign of misinformation to make it seem like the problem is that we can't afford Social Security. Of course we can afford Social Security. It's the picture of affordability. It's a flat line projected out to the end of the century. It is incredibly affordable, incredibly efficient. Less than 1 penny of a dollar that's paid in premiums goes to administer the entire program. That's why the billionaires dislike it because it works. They look at that and they see a missed opportunity on Wall Street. They'd add a 15% surcharge. They'd add a 15% in fees so that they could get another golden yacht. Less than 1 cent. It's efficient, affordable. It represents the best of American Montanan values. But the billionaires do not want to pay into the system at the same rate as the rest of us, and so they concoct this campaign of lies to take our eyes off of the real problem. So the problem is the billionaires aren't paying the same rate into Social Security as the rest of us. That needs to be where we find the solution. And it's also obvious. The solution is, let's just have the billionaires pay the same rate that all of us do into Social Security on all of their income. The vast majority of the American people, they can do that. Are you telling me that working people across this country can do that, but somehow it's unaffordable for a billionaire, someone who is worth hundreds of billions of dollars, Jeff Bezos, over $200 billion? Of course they can afford it. They just don't want to pay it. In fact, they want to get the government to reach their hand into our pockets, into the pockets of people getting an average of $1,800 a month, and steal their money. Right now, the proposals coming out of Washington, D.C. could not be more stark. This is not partisan, this is facts. The Republicans are proposing bills that cut benefits. They cut benefits. They cut benefits more than if Congress does nothing. So if Congress does not act, if Congress does nothing, in 2035, the trust fund will be exhausted and benefits will automatically match the revenue that continues to come in from working people paying into the system. It's our money. Nobody gives us anything. Social Security cannot borrow. So because of that, in 2035, there will be an automatic 17% benefit cut. That's what we have to prevent. That's the problem. But all of the Republican solutions in Washington, D.C. that are coming out they're cuts that are larger than 17%. They raised the retirement age 3 years. That's a 21% benefit cut. That's not a solution, that's just the problem sooner and worse. On the other side, President Biden, Vice President Harris, we have bills in the Senate. Senator Warren, Senator Sanders have a bill in the Senate. In the House, Representative John Lawson and 90% of the Democrats are on a bill. You can read it. You don't have to take my word. And what they do is they look at the problem. The billionaires aren't paying the same rate as the rest of us. Because of that, in 2035, there will be an automatic benefit cut if nothing is done. And they say, let's just ask the billionaires to pay the same rate as the rest of us. It's common sense. And then not only will there not be a benefit cut, but we can expand benefits for everyone in this country, for everyone in this state, for the Montanans who've been working hard their entire lives and are now trying to retire with dignity on an average of $1,800 a month. So it has been my great pleasure to go around this state and tell people there isn't a crisis with Social Security. Social Security works. Social Security isn't the problem. The problem is billionaires not paying the same rate on all of their income. It's actually a simple problem. Once you know the problem correctly, the solution is obvious. Let's have billionaires pay the same rate on all of their income, just like the rest of us do, and then we can prevent a 17% benefit cut in 2035. And in fact, we can expand benefits for everyone in this country. So thank you so much, Big Sky 55, for allowing me to speak here today.
Thank you so much, Alex. It's important to note that while Project 2025 and the Republican conference proposed to cut $2.5 trillion from our Social Security system, they are also touting a tax plan that extends roughly equivalent benefits to the wealthiest individuals and corporations in America. In 2017, Congress passed tax cuts for the wealthiest individuals and corporations. Next year, they have a choice, whether to extend those tax cuts or make changes to support working families and ensure the wealthiest pay their share. Making the tax cuts permanent would cost $288.5 billion in 2026 alone, disproportionately benefiting the richest Americans. Taxes are the dues we pay for living in a country with a transportation system that brings goods to market, a school system that gives our children the opportunity to realize their potential, a Medicare and Social Security system that allows our seniors to live out their lives in dignity, and much, much more. Big Sky 55 Plus supports and works for a tax system that is fair, equitable, and adequate to meet the real needs of our citizens. Now I will open it up to questions.
Hi, Mr. Lawson, please. So former President Trump tweeted yesterday about ending taxes on Social Security benefits. Do you have a stance on that issue?
Yes, that's a great question. So what the tweet that former President Donald Trump tweeted out yesterday shows is that he can read polls, because ending the taxation on Social Security benefits is very popular, which is why there have been bills that the Democrats have in Congress. You can look at Representative John Lawson's bill. That takes care of the issue of taxation of benefits. But what former President Trump is proposing, what that does, if you just end the taxation of benefits and you don't get billionaires to pay the same rate as the rest of us, all that's going to do is empty the trust fund sooner. And that means the 17% benefit cut is going to hit sooner. So what former President Donald Trump proposed is actually to hasten or to make the 17% benefit cut for everyone in this country happen sooner. And so again, I'm going to be polite and just say he doesn't know the policy, but he can read a poll. So we want to deal with the taxation of benefits, and there are bills to do that. Social Security works. We've long supported those bills, and I suggest that people who also want to take care of the issue of taxation of benefits look at those bills and support those bills. Again, the choice is clear. You have Democrats in Congress who are proposing bills, pieces of legislations that actually address the problems that Americans are facing. And then you have Republicans who have either proposed some bills that cut benefits, or they're tweeting stuff out that, if I'm being generous, he doesn't know that what it would do is cut people's benefits much sooner than 2035.
And I have another question, Mr. Lawson. Under the Biden-Harris plan, it's proposed that every income over $400,000 will be taxed at the same rate that the middle class is currently paying. But what about the current cap of $165K? What happens to those folks who are between $165,000 and $400,000?
So what happens is that anyone making between $165,000 and $400,000 would not see a nickel of their taxes go up. So that's a promise that President Biden has made, that Vice President Harris has made, that the senators, that Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, the sponsors on their bill, and all of the Democrats in the House, all of their bills actually honor that, and they start modifying the cap at $400,000 and then everything above it. But in between 165, the current cap, and 400,000, people would not see their taxes go up. Because again, it's not working people who are the problem. It's not Social Security that is the problem. It really is the billionaires who've gotten all of the gains in the past 4 decades. All of the gains in income and wealth have gone to the ultra wealthy. So that's where the solution needs to be aimed as well. Having the billionaires and the ultra wealthy pay the same rate on all of their income, just like the rest of us.
And final question, if Congress does not act with a Republican plan doesn't pass, Democratic plan, just nothing happens, what happens in 2035?
So what that is the baby boom generation has been pre-funding their retirement, and they've built up reserves in a trust fund. Those are U.S. Treasury bonds. They pay interest, they're at market rates, they are the safest investment in the world. And over time, the interest on those bonds goes to pay benefits, and then the bonds themselves are used to pay benefits until the trust fund is emptied. And it was supposed to actually empty in 2065, the life of the baby boom generation. But along the way, 30 years of that has actually been stolen. So instead of 2065, it's 2035. And you don't have to trust me on this. You can look at the chief actuary of Social Security, his name's Steve Goss. The entire reason that that happened, that we lost those 30 years, is because all of the income gains have gone to people above the cap. So that's where the problem is. But if Congress does nothing, then there's an automatic 17% benefit cut. The trust fund's exhausted, benefits match revenue, benefits automatically are cut by 17% for everyone in this country, and that's a disaster. And that's the problem that needs to be addressed. So it's easiest to see it on a spectrum. You have the Democrats in Congress who are saying, let's do our plan. Our plan is to ask billionaires to pay the same rate on all of their income that we do. There's no benefit cuts, and in fact, we can increase benefits for everyone between $100 and $200 a month. That's the Democrats in Congress, not what they say, not what they tweet, but their actual proposals. Then you have, if Congress does nothing, if Congress doesn't act at all, then there's a 17% benefit cut in 2035 automatically. But the important thing to note is there's also Republican proposals. You can look at their budgets and see that you can look at the bills that have been proposed by, say, Jody Arrington in the House Budget Committee, and you'll see that they raise the retirement age by 3 years. They propose a few different benefit cuts that all are more than the 17% if Congress does nothing. So the choice is incredibly clear. You have Democratic proposals, that path forward, have billionaires pay the same rate as the rest of us, prevent cuts, we can expand benefits for everyone. You have Republican proposals, which are, let's cut around 21% of benefits as soon as possible. And then you have do nothing, which is a 17% benefit cut for everyone in this country. So I think the path forward is incredibly clear. And when we poll this, we find every single time that the vast majority of Americans, over 90% of the American people, Democrats, Republicans, independents, say absolutely not one penny of my earned benefits should be cut. So what the American people want is incredibly clear. What's not clear to too many people is who is proposing the solution that's in line with what the people want. And that's why I am so grateful to Big Sky 55 for putting this tour on so that we can take that information directly to the people in Montana.
Well, if there aren't any more questions, thank you so much for being here. It's been great to have Alex here and talk about the good news about Social Security. Thank you very much, and goodbye.